Hello there, Seraph 17 once again. This is my Ys VIII, Lacrimosa of Dana, Inferno walkthrough. We're going to be going to the Water and Wood Hills, and we're also going to be going along Longhorn Coast. And to get there, we're going to come through Beast Hills to do so. We're also going to need some of the item that's going to let us get past the spiky ball sacks, so make sure you pack your cock and ball torture kit, because that's what we're going to be using coming up. The map in this game is really useful, so make sure you use it, guys, because it tells you when there's things of interest on the map. They'll be symbolised by a green icon with like an exclamation mark or a question mark, and then the yellowy red one is going to be the one that is the location to the next part of the game, basically. Now, just be careful of this enemy. I didn't mention it in the previous area. I like to bait its charging move, but its charging move will chase you. So if you try to run past it, because its charge is so effective, it will be faster than you can get away, and it will almost always hit you. And when it's moving like that, it is one continuous hitbox. So you can roll into it to get the flash move, and then you can guard once you finish rolling to get the flash guard, and then you can stack the flashes and kill it. Which is kind of the best way to kill everything in this game. They're easily the most infected. But there you go with the insect repellent, gets you all the honey. Through here is Slam Jungle, which I did go into just then, but I transitioned back out because I want to go down here too. This is going to lead to an opportunity to get another castaway, so it'll give us the opportunity to open up more locations and just generally do more things on the island. Also, if you are new to the game and you're watching this, some of the paths that I'm taking here and the places that I'm going might confuse you, because this walkthrough is kind of dependent on you understanding the game on some level. I'm not going to be explaining all the traversal and all the paths that lead to the different places. It's merely to give you an idea of the combat and how to survive and how to beat the bosses, because that's the really difficult stuff. The navigation stuff is mostly optional and up to you. But this is the area where you can skill farm an enemy. These are Valkyries. They drop an incredible ensemble of items, but they don't die, because you can't kill primordials until later on in the game. So even if I deplete all of this creature's HP, it will go into a sleep state, and then it will resuscitate itself. You get neither experience nor items, so there's no real reason to do this. However, because this enemy is over 30 levels higher than me, if there's any moves on any characters that you want to work towards, this is your opportunity to do it. I'm just going to whoop its ass to prove that you can, and it's going to unlock a whole bunch of spark skills for the main character, and then we're going to run around this area and pick up some items, and then we're going to get back on our path to somewhere else. You'll notice, if you're looking around while this fight is happening, that there are a lot of these dinosaurs in this area. You can get groups of these guys 3-4 deep. You do not want to be taking on 4 level 56 Valkylma men. It's just not a good idea. You could do it, definitely. The game gives you the tools, and if you've got the reflexes and the experience, it's probably doable, but it's just there's no reason to do it other than, look what I've done. So please record that, because there's no other reason to. The moveset on this creature is pretty simple. The one thing you want to be careful of is the Scream. The Scream can knock you down, and it's a forced knockdown where you have to take whatever happens afterwards. Sometimes they'll let you get back up, sometimes they don't. My strategy here is to bait the jump. When this creature jumps at you, it's a free opportunity to get criticals on him, and then after you hit him enough, you'll stun him. The creature also does a spinning tail whip that's easy to parry, but I don't mess with that one too much because I like to keep a decent distance just in case it pulls out something I've not seen before. Usually the enemies in this game only have a modest amount of moves, but they are diverse enough to make them interesting. And the Scream that it did just then, if it doesn't knock you down, like some of the Screams do, I think it might even recruit other dinosaurs, so make sure to manipulate this creature's movement so that it never goes near its friends. If this thing gets any of its friends to come and attack you, you're going to have a really bad time. And speaking of bad times, never fight near the thresholds of the areas, because you can accidentally leave, and all it does is reset all the progress you've done. And there's no real progress here other than hitting the boss with a ton of abilities, which is progress in and of itself. But I already have the move with Adult that I wanted, so I'm just going to kind of slap this guy around a little bit. If you want to, you can feel free to do it with other people and get their skills up, but we did get something just then, so that's pretty cool to see. And one thing you'll notice, once you spark one move, it seems to be a little bit like opening the floodgates for other moves. It seems like whatever the next move is, it sparks much quicker, because I think by the time this thing dies, I spark another move. But at the first, like 70% of this creature's HP didn't really give me anything. There it was, there it is, Aura Blade. And Aura Blade is actually pretty cool. I recommend that skill a lot. I'm going to put Aura Blade, and there we go, we got Blade Rush as well. See what I mean? You get one and they fall like dominoes. But the reason the Aura Blade is cool is because it's a big hitbox above you, so it's good at hitting flying creatures or creatures that are a little bit too tall that need to be jumped to attacked. But the main reason to use it is its stun. It has way more stun than the Force Edge, so you can spam it like Force Edge. It's just as quick, it costs around the same amount, and it adds a bit more stun. So if you come up against an enemy where damage is not your goal, but stunning them to then damage is, that's the tool for Adol at this moment. But once you get Ricotta and you unlock her spinning orbit move, there is no other move in the game that stuns as quick as that move, so you can just use that. But here is the zone of, oh my god, everything is level 56, except for the shitty fault enemy thing that pops out of the ground and does absolutely nothing but gets wrecked by Force Edge. Coming up this little mountain here is a pathway that leads to the optional dungeon in the game. Once you get all the survivors, you can move the ruins that's coming up, and it will enable you to go into a place that has enemies that are level 70 plus, and you can get a piece of pure Orichalcum, or Orichalcum, or Orichalcum, however you want to say that. My pronunciation changes depending on the day. And also there is an optional boss in there, a level 80 boss, that's this weird thing, so good luck on fighting him, he's pretty cool. But I only went up there to kind of put it on the map and to get some cartography points. And then moving over here, we're going to move towards the position of potentially another survivor, which is going to help us out in the long run. Which I think up here is Meralda, who is the lady who's responsible for making drinks. And the drinks in this game are pretty interesting because they can give you some passive bonuses, but they also reset your eating. So it's kind of like sticking your fingers down your throat if you're bulimic, only it's a video game and it's nothing like that at all, so I don't know why I said it. But it enables you to eat immediately after, without having to wait for the food's effect to wear off, because once you've eaten, you cannot eat again without having to reset it, so it's a way of alleviating that. You're not going to see too much evidence of me doing it, because in all honesty, I don't think I've ever needed to, but it's cool to have, and I do appreciate it. But going through that environment lets us get to Longhorn Coast, which is a place that we will come to eventually. The cool thing about coming here a little bit earlier, even though it's not that early, is that we can finish off Dana's side quest, where she wants us to look for some treasure. So we can do that now and finish off one of her objectives, which is pretty cool. But this place is stacked full of enemies, so be very careful, guys. There's a lot of birds here, there's a lot of crabs, and we're also going to be able to find another survivor, which is going to be a young rich boy who is going to work in your garden as a slave. So we get to feel a little bit closer to the aristocracy we once weren't by owning humans. So there's a good thing to look forward to. But before he'll come to you, you have to find his pet rat, or whatever it is. Some stupid fat thing that sits on a cliff over on the left, and I'm going to go and find it to appease him. But he counts as another survivor, so he opens up some other utilities. He has a pretty interesting character arc as well, because he goes from being rich and thinking that he's above everything and that he shouldn't be doing this and he shouldn't be doing that because he's been taught a certain way because of his class, and then he discovers learning to live for himself and liking what you like rather than feeling pressured into liking what people tell you should like, which there's a pretty decent moral in there actually, in spite of him being a small annoying child in a JRPG. But he's pretty cool, because the resources that he grows when you bring him seeds are going to enable you to cook things. So pumpkins can be quite annoying to farm unless you know what enemy drops them, so you can always grow them, things like that. You probably can't even grow pumpkins, but I was using it as an example. Here's me swapping some skills with Laxia. Every so often you're going to see me having some menus in the game, guys. I've done that intentionally because I want you to kind of have a gauge on where I am in my progression, so that if you do want to follow my strategies, you can have an understanding of what I'm equipping and things. Right now, I was contemplating using the character swap to get that item, but then I remembered that if you come across the other side of the cliff face, you can drop down onto it, and I don't have to feature that glitch in the run, so that's why there was parts of me thinking, do I mess around with this or do I not? And then I decided not to. Because it'd be kind of hypocritical. I'm pretty against using glitches when it comes to any kind of traditional walkthrough, because I feel like you're circumventing what the game has intended. And I know that that's quite ambiguous, because There are certain techniques in video games, certain strategies that utilize certain exploits of systems and mechanics, and people could call those glitches and call those not developer intended, even though, what is developer intended? They intended for you to buy the fucking game, right, and to give it a 10 out of 10. So, very strange. It's always one of those interesting conceits that I could talk about for far too long and probably chew your ear off, but once again, be careful, birds are everywhere. Luckily, with Lax here, you can take them down really quickly, and because I've got Hummel in as well, we are getting a passive bonus to our damage against them, and we have 2 people that can break them, so they're going down really quickly. This is some Ivan Drago, Rocky IV shit right here. Which is a good thing, because the birds are annoying, especially when they're in bulk like this. A big old murderer dickheads. But the cool thing is, there's an environment over here past this crystal where we can interact and get some treasure, and there is an SP tonic that'll give you even more SP. I don't know if that'll be in the walkthrough, but you should definitely go up there and get it. But there's the autosave, hitting the crystal, refreshing us. One design on this game that I really don't like, that I wish I could change, is that when you're at low life, the game blinks and flashes and makes a noise, and I don't know about you folks, but I'm kind of aware of my HP in video games. It's one of those areas I never really struggle with. I generally have a good idea when I'm playing like shit and when I'm doing so badly that 1 or 2 more hits are going to kill me. And then on a difficulty like this, where 1 or 2 hits kill you regardless of how strong you are, I think it's easy to know, isn't it? It's really easy to know when you're going to die, when you're not going to die. So is there any need to constantly be like a woodpecker on your forehead? Just tap, 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 tap. It's really obnoxious, and I think it's antiquated, I think it's silly, I think it's one of those things that we've inherited from an older era of video games, and I'd really like to see a riddance of it, because if only there was some kind of HUD element that would describe to me that my HP is low, perhaps some kind of bar of vitality that dwindles as each hit cleaves my body in twine. Oh wait, yeah, it just doesn't make sense to me, it's too much information, you know? It's the dude who shows you his holiday photos, and then all of a sudden you're looking at his dick and balls. Like, oh, I didn't realise that was in here. That's my cock. Next slide. Like, you don't need that. And it's one of the only parts of the game that really bugs me. And you might be thinking, well, I don't notice it, Chris, because I'm never low life. I heal up pretty quickly. Well, I like to do red tear stone strategies, so the idea of being low life in this game is really, really inviting. It's romantic. There's a seductiveness to it. I love the idea of doing more damage at low life, and then I'd carry 1 HP into a boss fight, and the game fucking heals me on the transition. Which is another thing I really don't like, which I wish they'd remove. It'd be so cool if it was a toggle in a menu. Heal me between cutscenes. No thank you. I don't need that. And would it be frustrating in other parts? Definitely. But I could always turn it on and off, you know? I want to manipulate the bosses so that I can do as much damage as physically possible. Because if I'm going to take the effort to not get touched by the boss, I might as well have the most damage to kill him in the quickest time, right? That's kind of the point. Because there are 2 choices whenever you play any kind of game like this, guys. Because this game allows skill to supersede character's level and character's ability, you can do things based purely on your own skill that other people can't. And because there is that choice between do you want you yourself to improve or your game character to improve, because that choice exists, you are given the capacity to do wonderful things. And I want to do wonderful things, you know? But this is the creature that you have to talk to in order to recruit the boy on the beach. So go and talk to him. You'll see a cutscene. He'll say, I'm not leaving until I've found whatever this thing is. And then if you come over here and drop down to it, you can talk to this mole rat thing, or whatever it is. I don't know what it is. And then it will take you back to Castaway Village. And that's the end of the video. So thank you so much for watching, guys. And as always, you take care now.